Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Math with Sohn. Today we're going to be learning about the triangle midsegments and the special relationship that happens when you do have a triangle midsegment. Let's get into it. So I have here a triangle. It's nice, it's pretty. If I wanted to try and draw a line down the middle of this triangle, not dividing it in half with symmetry, but like down the middle height-wise, if you thought of this as like a pyramid, it would be about right here. Literally cutting it in half and making this top part of the triangle kind of like half of the original. And the way we would do that is these two sides right here should be the same. And these two sides right there should be the same as well. That does not mean that the left side has to be equal to the right side. It just means that you cut each of the sides of the triangle in half. When you do that, several things happen. First thing that happens is, let's say that this mid-segment part that you just found out was 30 feet. That means that the bottom part right here would be twice as much. That's going to be 60 feet. And if you know that that's 30 and that's 60, not only did we get that, but we're also given this information and creating a scenario where the lines of the mid-segment, which is where the 30 is, this mid-segment is the 30 feet, and the bottom part of the triangle are parallel. So that means that if this part here was 40 degrees, corresponding angles would dictate that that 40 degrees would slide up as well. That does not mean that this angle over here would be 40. This could very well be 60 degrees, and it would be 60 degrees over there. All right? So that's the very, very basic idea. There's going to be other small things that could be added. For instance, if this is 60 and that's 40, we could find 80 up at the top corner right there. And we could also figure out that this is 140 because we have a straight line, and this is 120 because we have a straight line between these two. It's also same side interior angles with 140 and 40 to make 180 as well. They're going to throw x's in the mix, but it's not going to get too much complicated compared to this. So, for our next triangle, let's draw another triangle. Let's make this one a little bit wider, like so. So on this next triangle, instead of actually knowing that this is 30 right away, if these are equal and those are equal, that would mean that this part right here is the mid-segment. If I told you that this guy right here was 4x plus 1, and I told you that the bottom line was 11x minus 25, we would need to think about what is the relationship between this mid-segment and that bottom segment right here. And the relationship is that this mid-segment is half the size as the bottom, the main part. So that means that if you double something, you would get the entire thing. So on our previous problem, if we took 30 and doubled it, we got 60. Well, here it might not be a 30, but I could still double that 4x plus 1, and it would equal the 11x minus 25. So you need to make sure you put parentheses around the 4x and the 1 to be sure that you distribute it. So when we distribute it, because we have to double this part to equal the bigger part, you get 8x plus 2 equals 11x minus 25. Keep solving. Subtract 8x. 2 would equal 3x minus 25. Add the 25. Add the 25. 27 equals 3x. And when you divide, x would equal 9. So a lot of times they may just ask, what is x? Other times they might ask, hey, what would be AB? If we wanted to figure out AB, all you'd have to do is plug it in. Or if they wanted to figure out CD, all you would have to do is plug it in. So let's say we wanted to find CD. CD is apparently my mid-segment. I would take the 9, I would plug it in, and I would have to do 4 times 9 plus 1 makes 36 plus 1, is 37. So CD is apparently equal to 37, and this could be feet, it could be inches, it could be anything. All right? Let's try another one. Now, sometimes you don't have to just have one midsegment. You could actually have a few midsegments in one triangle. So what that means is that we take this side, let's say I take my left side, and I cut it in half, 2 equal halves, and I take my right side and I cut it in half, and we get this one midsegment. Great. But I could have also cut this third side in half too if I wanted to. If I turn this shape, I could cut this third side in half as well. And if I do that, that would be about halfway right here. These three things would be equal. And by doing that, I don't just create one additional midsegment. I'm actually going to create two. Here's one, and here's the other. So when we have this scenario where we're given all three sides, you end up having 1, 2, 3 midsegments. That doesn't mean one's more valuable than the other. It just means you have 3 of them this time. All right? So if you were told that this side right here was 15 feet, and you were told that this whole thing was 40 feet, and perhaps that this part was 10 feet, we could fill in a whole bunch of things, and the 10 feet is going to be from here to here. So with this information, we could fill out just about everything. If it's, we'll start with the 10. If it's 10 here, then it would have to be 10 feet over here as well. And if these are both 10, and the midsegment is supposed to be half of that, well then, if we add 10 and 10 together, you get 20, but half of 20 is 10. So this 10 feet right here is actually the same length as this one right here. If we have 40 all the way across, half of 40 makes 20, and that would be our midsegment. 15 we're not going to half because 15 is already half of what this is. So we would have to double 15 to get this entire length, or recognize that both of these are 15. Therefore, the entire thing put together would have to be 30 feet. So that's just an example of how some of these problems can be a little more elaborate if they decide to throw in more midsegments than just one. The next few problems we do are going to involve angles, however. So, if you're involving angles, the most important thing to recognize is that when we have these triangles, I don't like that one, I'm going to try it again. When we have these triangles, when you draw that midsegment, these two lines are parallel. So if this is the midsegment, then these two lines are parallel. And if the two lines are parallel, you are going to have two sets of corresponding angles. The tip point means nothing. This part right here means nothing. So, with that in mind, if I were told just one of these angles, I could fill out everything. If I was told variables, I could still set them equal to each other. For instance, if I knew that this was 70, I would know that's 70. But if I was told this is 4x plus 1, and this is 5x minus 10, well, they might not both be 70, but they definitely both equal each other, and I can set them equal to each other. 4x plus 1 equals the 5x minus 10. And then you could solve this equation. I would personally move the 4x over. X minus 10 would equal 1. Add 10 over, and x would equal 11. If we plug in the 11, we would get the value of each of these angles, and then we could use that to find other things. Now that's if they give you these two corresponding angles, But what if they don't do that? What if they give you this part right here as like a y plus 4? And then they gave you that part as a 70, and you needed to find y. Well, here, these are same side interior angles. And here we have these add to make a line. Therefore, they're not going to be equal to each other. Same side interior angles will have to add to equal 180 degrees instead. So I'm going to just add these together, the y plus 4 and the 70, to equal 180. We'd end up with y plus 74 equals 180. When we subtract 74 from 180, we get our answer, which in this case is 106 degrees. All right? So mid-segments of a triangle aren't too bad. Sometimes math teachers try and make them a little more difficult, but as long as you keep your head cool, double the middle part to equal the outside part, you're going to be fine. All right? Till next time, everybody have a great day and stay positive. See everybody later. Bye.